Dum da dum dum.
Hello there, guys. Sean, Pistelle X68. I got some time on my hands. I was inspired by a friend this morning that just sent me a picture of a bunch of the factory bolt springs from BKS, FSC, comparing it to the Pistelle X68. And I thought it's something I wanted to try and see if other springs work. What do they do? Do they do anything? Do they malfunction? So I skipped ahead and I took my bolt and my body piston off. But let me show you something here, guys. If you remember from my original teardown video, I wiped the grease free and clear of everything on this marker. Everything. You can see how wet this is on the inside. And my piston as well. Like, you can see the glisten, you can see the oil. That's just from lubing it each CO2. That amount of lubrication that's left in there, even if I forgot to lube it every time, or for instance, I lube it, I put it into storage, waiting for a special occasion, there's plenty in there. You got to remember to lube your CO2s. I even saw a Umarex post the other day where the importance of putting lubrication on the end of your CO2s. That is a perfect example of it staying where it needs to be and going where it needs to be. All right. That is your X68 bolt spring. This is a VKS bolt spring. This is a John Wixon bolt spring. That is the one that your mother warned you about. That's the FSC spring. I'm not even sure I'll get past one of these springs, but I'm pretty sure that this one isn't going to work. So out comes the X68. I think I'm going to start. I'm just going to go for the VKS. It's a little bit longer than John Wixon's spring. It's a little bit heavier, but if it works, it works. I'm just gonna, these springs have been kind of in cold storage for a while. I don't play with my FSC as much as I used to, but it'll come out of retirement here shortly. They all get their turns in the spotlight. So put a little lube on that. Let's just check. I didn't even check yet. It is kind of tight on that bottom ring there, but it does go over. Let's see, how did this one fit? The stock one? Yeah, ooh, dog hair. Does go over that little lip there a little bit easier, but let's see, what do the other ones do? Never tried. Wixon spring, little bit tighter, but again, it goes over. I've never really found that to be an issue. FSC spring glides right over that raised lip. What'd I say? BKS first. BKS is the kind of dichromate spring. There we go. I'll be using 9.9 gram riot balls, CO2. I can tell you, it'll probably be a lot harder to get in there. So I'm gonna be nice and try and get it lined up. See how gentle I was there? Click my trigger for the final push. It's in. Let's air this guy up here. on the table here, just to make sure. Pretty much, if this doesn't air right now, the rest of this test is dead. My X68 using this projectile puts out about 51, almost 52 joules on the first shot. It has done that consistently. So anything more or anything less is going to tell me definitively one way or another, which, if anything, these springs do anything. Anything? Yeah, well, enough talking. Huh, held there. That's a good sign. Whoop. It is cold as balls here. Unless there is some huge deviation in velocity, I would chalk it up to just the environment. It won't be the spring. I would be looking for like an extra, I don't know, like 1 or 2 joules up or down ain't gonna matter. I would call that no. 3 to 5, it made a difference. .284, and I can tell you just by the sound, negatory. .298, the spring is definitely limiting travel, so that bolt isn't making it as far into the barrel. As the velocity suggests, I think 330 is around what this normally shoots. 286. 278. 276. Interesting trend though. Way better consistency, but at a slightly reduced power. That was the last one. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna fill another mag up and see how many more shots I get. So there was 1 blank in there. That was 7 rounds. I fired 8 total trigger pulls. Now there's 7 loaded up. This marker is icy cold. Literally that was like 30 seconds. So here we go. .260. Oh, that's it. Didn't really do any better on the shot count. The consistency, well, I would say was better, but lower. But the power was lower. So would I take that trade-off? Yeah, I guess if you weren't looking to have a 50 joule marker right from the get-go, I'd have to do the calculations. I think that's probably around, I don't know, 30. But why would you? Why would you? Let me try the Wixon spring just because. It's a little bit lighter than this VKS spring. It'll compress a little bit more and we'll just go for it. Oh. Oh. Yeah, that spring's got a lot more push. Oops, pulling everything apart here. Didn't cause any damage or anything like that. Okay, so factory X68 spring, Wixon spring. Uh-oh. That one doesn't feel right. Just need another trigger pull. Well, we know it's gonna air up, so let me just go switch cameras. That one didn't work. Now let's see why. Maybe I pinched an O-ring. It didn't feel like it normally felt when I screwed it in. Actually, looking at this now, look how far the cap went in. That's kind of strange. See what's going on in there. What do we do? Oh, you guys, why didn't you say something? Look at this. Notice what's wrong here? It's on backwards. That is the correct direction. Do over. Wixon bolt spring take 2. Much better. Again, if I don't see 330 plus, it's a bust. $310, better than the VKS spring. So that is correct. The springs, the X68 spring is allowed to compress more, which allows more of that bolt to get into the barrel where it needs to be when it releases that air. Rail 4. Or 800. 296. 288. I think that was the last one. No, one more. 288. No, it's not the last one. Wow. It's gonna be one of those days. 288. How many more shots am I gonna get? Let's put a couple more in. Got a feeling it'll just be exactly the same and it'll putter out at like 11 shots. I do have some parts coming to meddle with this marker, but not yet. Stuff I can't undo, so I don't want to put this marker out of commission, so I need the parts first. Shot number 8. 290. Shot number 9. 272. Shot number 10. 248. Shot number 11. Nothing. All right, I'm gonna throw the X68's factory bolt spring in just to verify my findings. Back to the factory bolt spring. $316. LL4. 800. 292. There's the magic 288. 282. 276. Last one. Not quite the 51-2 that I normally see, but you gotta understand, I just fired this 3 consecutive times in a row, only to break it down just to swap the spring. That was it. So the factory spring did produce the highest velocity. I'd almost like to try that after the Wixon spraying, after I hadn't fired that first CO2. It was more consistent. Again, power reduced slightly, but that 288 that I just mentioned, you saw a 288, 288, 288 right at the end, where this one counts by 288, got a little lower, 272 or something, 276, whatever. Memory's not that it used to be, even though that was only 30 seconds ago. That might be something for somebody if, you know, maybe they were shooting pepper balls and they don't want that initial 50 hit. You know, you could tune her down a little bit. Those lighter balls are already going to tune the marker down a little bit, as we've seen, but something to take into consideration. As I mentioned, I got some parts coming to try some things with this. I got O-rings coming. USPS strikes again. I ordered them from O-ring store in Washington State, which is just that way. And instead they went to California first. And you know what's happening in California right now? Well, apparently now they're delayed in California. Go figure, right? So plenty other stuff to come. I port matched my 468, gained a little, but also waiting on parts for that before I do some more poking and prodding. So I'll see you next time. While editing the video, curiosity got the best of me. So I thought I'd put the numbers down on a piece of paper just to compare. The Wixon spring was very consistent, although the power didn't have that initial hot shot. And here is it on paper. 7 shots total, 281.31 joules divided by 7. Average shot velocity, 40.19 joules. The X68 factory spring, higher initial shot, lower last shot, total of 277.30 joules divided by 7 is 39.61 joules. And this is what I'm talking about. 1 or 2 joules doesn't make a difference. But if you have a specific task for your marker, these numbers much better suit, at least in my opinion, a chemical round where you're not searching for that super high number. You want a nice solid consistency. There might be more here with even a different spring. I have some other springs, so now I'm going to have to see. What do I want? What do I like? Obviously, you can't go wrong. The X68 spring does what it's supposed to. I can't argue that. This test may be a little bit flawed because of me firing 4 CO2s back to back, but that is the numbers. Average, joules, you be the judge.